Hello Grace Church, how are you on this gloriously sunny and hot day? It looks like we're in for a wonderful Easter weekend in terms of weather. But we're aware that it's going to be a more tricky Easter weekend, one like never before, because of this global crisis of the coronavirus, COVID-19. The NHS are going to have to work incredibly hard over the coming days and weeks. And what have we been told to do to help and to protect ourselves? The government has given us an instruction, given us a command: stay home, save lives. Stay home, save lives. But did you know that is not the first time that command has been given? That command actually is in the Bible. And not only is that command in the Bible, it is in the Bible to God's people for precisely this time of year, Easter. Let me explain. Easter is celebrated at the time of the Jewish festival of Passover. We've mentioned it before. And the Jewish festival of Passover each year was there to remember, to be a memorial of the first ever Passover, an event which happened hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years before Jesus was alive. That was back in Egypt. God's people were slaves in Egypt under the Pharaoh. And God says, right, I'm going to judge the Pharaoh for the way he's acting towards my people and towards me. I'm going to judge the Egyptians. And what's going to happen to them is the firstborn boy, the firstborn son in each of those Egyptian families is going to die one evening. And then I'm going to take my people out of Egypt. But the only way that my people will survive unscathed is if they take a lamb and kill it. Well, here's my lamb. Here's Larry the lamb. There's going to be a death in every household in Egypt. Either a boy will die or Larry the lamb has to die. What they had to do was take this lamb, kill it, take the blood and paint it around their home's doorpost. And then when God came to bring judgment on Egypt, he would pass over those houses because he saw that there had been a death in the place of, instead of needing one of the children in those Jewish households to die. Now there's a lot more to explain there, but let me read about that in Exodus chapter 12, verses 21 to 23, and see if you can spot that command to stay home and save lives. Stay in your houses so that your boy doesn't need to die. Moses called for all the leaders of Israel and said to them, each of you is to choose a lamb or a young goat and kill it so that your families can celebrate Passover. Take a sprig of hyssop, dip it in the bowl containing the animal's blood and wipe the blood on the doorposts and the beam above the door of your house. Not one of you is to leave the house until morning. When the Lord goes through Egypt to kill the Egyptians, he will see the blood on the beams and the doorposts and will not let the angel of death enter your houses and kill you. Do you see? Stay home, save lives. Nothing new. And then on that Passover, in about AD 33, April the 2nd it may well have been, Jesus gathers his friends for their Passover memorial meal. They've got a lamb, they've got some bread, they've got some wine. It was a tradition that contained no surprises until this time, when Jesus says these words. I'm reading from Luke chapter 22, verses 19 and 20. Then Jesus took a piece of bread, gave thanks to God, broke it, and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." In the same way, he gave them the cup after supper, saying, "This cup is God's new covenant, sealed with my blood, which is poured out for you." Those are familiar words for us if we go to church and we share the Lord's Supper. But do you see what Jesus is doing? He's taking a meal that had a symbolic meaning and he's transforming it, utterly transforming it on the night before he died, dying as that lamb, the perfect lamb, the real lamb. Larry the lamb can't really take my place, but Jesus can, because he's a human, not a lamb, but he was perfect because he was God and man in one person. So dwell on that today, friends. Think about the Lord's Supper. What do we have? Bread and wine. But we don't have a lamb there. We don't need one anymore on the table because Jesus is our Passover lamb and he sacrificed himself for us. But we'll think more about that tomorrow.